Don't worry about picking the genre that you want to write in. I suggest letting your genre pick you. Hi, I'm Donnee Patrese, and I'm back working on my series for how to start a novel. And today we're going to be talking about genre. Now, genre to me is very important. However, it's important because it shouldn't be that important to you. I know that sounds weird to say, but what I feel for a genre is I think that you should let your genre discover you or pick you, and not you just jumping into a certain genre just because it's what's hot, or just because you think, oh, that's what I love to read, so this is what I should write. I think that you should just go ahead and let that genre decide if that's the one that's for you. Now, I have some tips on how to pick a genre or find a way to figure out how or what genre is right for you. So basically, I have a tip number one: don't force yourself into a box. So, like I said, starting this, don't just pick a genre based off of what you read or based off of what's hot right now, because you're just going to put yourself into this box as to what you should be writing. And that's not what you want to do. You want to keep yourself open. You want to have an open mind. You don't want to narrow your choices. You want to keep them open. And that helps with your writing, because a lot of people get writer's block and a lot of people get stuck because they feel like, oh, it's because of some reasons. Could be characters. You feel like your characters aren't speaking to you, but there could be a reason why your characters are speaking to you, because you're just not in the right genre for those characters, and what they're trying to say doesn't fit the box that you put yourself in. So sometimes you just have to keep yourself open so that you can hear what those characters are trying to say. I would say tip number two: don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to try something other than what you read. Don't be afraid to try something other than what you think people want to hear right now. Don't be afraid to just be yourself and just write. I feel like a lot of writers struggle with that, because one of the things that writers necessarily avoid doing is writing, like sitting down and getting started and just writing and completing that manuscript that I know is inside of you. Yes, it's in there, and you just have to get it out. And one of the things is that they're afraid to write something new. Quick story. When I started to write erotic romance, the first thing I did, I didn't choose erotic romance. It kind of chose me. And the one that I did choose was just outright romance, like Harlequin romance, because that's what I loved to read at the time. I'm just a true romantic at heart. So I just knew, okay, romance is the genre for me. That's what I'm going to write. That's what I'm going to be good at. And so I began to write romance. And I was sticking to these very stringent guidelines that I felt like were in these Harlequin novels. And this is what I need to stick to. And I put myself in a box. And I was afraid to try something new. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't finish it. And then when I did finally, after like years completing it, I let people critique it and they hated it. So I realized at that moment that I sucked at writing romance. And that was okay, because I learned that lesson that I wasn't very good at writing romance. So what I did was, after that, I just decided to do step number three that I'm going to give you. And that is do what feels right and what comes naturally. So I just sat down and I just wrote a story. I wrote the story that was inside of me. I wrote the story that wanted to come out. And ultimately, when I wrote that story, I read it and I went, this is great. I love this story. And if I like it, readers are going to like it. And I didn't know exactly where it fell, though. Like, I knew it was romance in there, but I didn't know what type of romance it was. I didn't know what ultimately I was going to do with it. And I researched and I figured out that it was considered erotic romance. And I realized I was pretty good at erotic romance. And that is something that I enjoyed writing. I really enjoyed writing. I had so much fun writing it. And I realized, okay, that genre chose me. That I just wrote, and what it happened is I ended up writing erotic romance. And that's for all those people who ask me, how did I get into erotic romance? That's how I got into erotic romance. Okay, but with all that being said, you want to know the limits of your genre. So ultimately, you're gonna just let that genre pick you and write how write what comes natural to you. And I'm gonna say that a lot, and you might get annoyed at me saying that but it's ultimately true that you want to write how you feel and write what comes naturally. But you also want to keep a few things in mind. So, like I said, tip 4, know the limits of your genre. So, what I mean by that is word count. Know what type of word count you're looking for in your genre. So, readers of romance novels, and from what I found, and erotic romance novels, don't want to read a 500-page novel. They will in another genre. They may like a fantasy novel is 500 pages, and they may like other novels that are a lot longer. But from what I figure and what my research has shown me, they don't necessarily want to read a 500, 600-page romance novel or erotic romance novel. That just might be a little bit too much. So I tend to try to keep my word count to a specific amount of words that fit in that genre. I did some research and figured out how long most erotic romance novels are, and I try to keep myself within there. Of course, writing can go crazy, and you can just write and find out you've got 80,000 words. What I try to do is go ahead and eliminate those repetitive words, and through editing, I can get myself around 60,000 to 70,000 words. And I think that's pretty good for a romance novel. And you can have a little bit more, but in my opinion, I think that's about good for a romance novel. You also want to figure out how obscure your genre is, because I thought my genre was pretty obscure. I thought, I'm a rebel, I'm doing something new. And then I found so many other authors that are doing similar things, and I thought, oh wow, okay, like 50 Shades of Grey came out, and I was like, okay, I guess there are other writers who are doing what I'm doing, and that, that makes it fun, because it makes it more challenging, because now you got to come up with different ideas and come up with new ways to write. And like I said, don't box yourself in, and try new things. One of the new things that I'm trying lately is I just completed a novel. Yes, I just completed a novel, and I'm working on a new one, hence this series that I've started. And in that novel that I completed, I'm not just doing erotic romance. I threw some mystery in there too. Some mystery and a little bit of murder. And spoiler alert. And it was exciting to write, because it was something new, something different that I had never done before. And I do love mystery. And so it was pretty cool to write. And it's something new. And it kind of came a little natural too. It was just something I was holding back on. So I just, needed to let it go. And, but how obscure is your genre? Because I'm getting off track. How obscure is your genre? So you want to keep that in mind, because when you write, like I said, we're not writing for, I don't write for profit. I write for the love of it. And if some profit come along, oh yes, I'll take that. But I write for the love of writing. And I want to share my stories with other people. And however, I do realize that, I can't be a starving artist forever. Especially as a self-published writer, I need to make sure that I can make a profit. So I don't want to make my genre so obscure that nobody's going to read it, and that it's something that nobody is going to even look at. But you do you, and you do what comes naturally. But how to start a novel and how to get it going, I would say try to make sure your genre isn't too obscure. That's just a tip for me. So I say we're on tip 5. So write some short stories in your genre to make sure it's your writing style. So I should have done that before I picked romance. I should have wrote some short stories in that genre, because I did try writing some romantic, short stories in that genre after I wrote my first erotic novel, and realized, no, I'm not very good at it. So I decided I'm going to stick to what I know, and I began to write short stories on my blog in that genre and erotic romance, and realized, yes, I'm definitely good at it. And I just kept doing what I know, like, sticking to my day job basically, and keep writing what I love to write. But I suggest that if you're going to start writing kids books, or if you're going to start writing nonfiction stories, memoirs, things like that, that you basically write some short stories about it first, and get a blog. I suggest getting a blog, posting it, sharing it with people, and see the responses that you get, or see if people even read it at all, or see if you even like it. And that will ultimately, and disregard the gardening in the back, because that lawnmower is kind of drowning me out right now. But my gardener's out there, and he's getting his job done. He's sticking to his day job like I should be doing, and he's working things out. So, like I said, write some short stories in your genre to make sure it fits your writing style. To me, that is very, very, very important. And it saves you some time, because you might start a novel and get halfway through or all the way through, like I did, and realize you are no good at this genre. Okay, and finally, tip number 6. Don't be afraid to create your own genre. Okay, that might sound weird, but it goes along with writing what comes natural to you. Like I said, I wrote erotic romance and didn't realize I was writing erotic romance. I just wrote a story that was in me, that needed to come out, and figured out that's where it fit. So you may write and realize it doesn't fit anywhere. Like, you have this weird erotic romance, fantasy, mystery, crime, drama, solving book, and it doesn't fit anything. It doesn't fit anywhere, but it's a really good book. Don't be afraid to create your own genre. Tell people, yes, I write erotic romance, crime fighting, superhero, fantasy novels. I'm sure there's going to be somebody who wants to read it, even though that does sound obscure. And I said, try to stay away from the obscure. You can't help what you can't help. If that's what you write, I'm positive there's going to be somebody who likes to read it. And it may be a breakout new genre, or it may be a genre somebody has already done before. So, don't worry about it. Just know that you may not be the only one who's done it. You may think that you said, I thought I was being a rebel, and found out this is pretty much what, I'm writing, erotic romance. So I hope these tips that I've given you today on genre really, really help you. I'm pretty sure that if not one, if not two, but 3 of them might be something that can get you going in your novel and help you along your way to getting started. Because ultimately, that's what I want. I want you to be able to get started. I did this whole series because I know how daunting and how intimidating it can be to start a novel. And sometimes you might think I'm not the one to write a novel at all. And that's not true. That's not true. As a writer, you can get that done. I'm living proof that you can, because I had those same thoughts. I didn't think that I could write a novel, but I want to take out all the guesswork. I want to take out all the trial and error that I did and share what I've learned with you. And hopefully it can improve your process in writing. So don't be afraid to comment. Don't be afraid to ask me questions. You can leave them below in the comment section, or you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter as Donnee Patrese. Search me, look me up. I'll be there. I'm here to help. Also, subscribe and share this video, because you could be helping other writers learn how to start their novel as well. So don't be afraid to go ahead and subscribe. Don't be afraid to share. Hit the bell button so that you know when videos come out, so that you can keep track of the series and follow along the way. Subscribe, like, share, do all that. And then come back for the next video, because the next video is going to be very interesting, and it's going to be something special for you. So, like I said, don't forget to subscribe. Oh, and by the way, check out my books on Amazon. Like I said, I write a grounded romance, and I think they're pretty good. I don't know. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I think they're pretty good, and I think that you like them. So go ahead and check those out on Amazon. You can go on Amazon. You can just search Donnee Patrese, and all of my books will come up. Or you can search Prohibited. You can search Prohibited 2. You can search Prohibited 3, Final Betrayal. Either of those, and you should be able to find my books. They are in ebook and print format. And everything is there for you. So like I said, check me out in the next video. Have a good day.